Okay, YouTube, so this is how that bumper shows up. Two giant boxes dropped off by the brown Santa here on my porch. Pretty sizable. It's all put together. Good morning, YouTube. It's pretty chilly right now. It's about 30 degrees out. It's supposed to get up close to 70, so hopefully that'll help things out. We're gonna have a little bit of a late start today because we got to go get a new dryer. They decided to take a crap a couple days ago, and speaking of crap, the dogs have had the runs for the past 3 days, so limited sleep for the last several days. But hopefully we'll get going here on this soon, and we will turn this into this. Alright guys, so the store doesn't open up for another couple hours, so I'm going to try and get a little bit of unboxing done and soak down some bolts, and hopefully they'll free up. Alright, so these are the two boxes that showed up. So one's a little tore up, the big one's a little tore up over on the side there, right there. I think it was just from shipping. Doesn't look like anything's too banged up. Wow, too banged up too badly. There we go. But it's two boxes, that's all it comes in, and we'll start unboxing some stuff. So there's a tire carrier, the swing arm. I got the EZ-Grip latch. All the welds look pretty good. The finish is pretty decent. Looks like they didn't miss any spots with the powder coating. I heard some kind of mixed reviews about this stuff, so but so far so good. So there's the bumper and then 3 other boxes in here. Small box is all the hardware. Another box, I think this one's going to be the shackles. Yep, shackles already have the isolators on them for you. This is the actual tire mount. It's nice to give you some lug nuts with it. Some of the hardware. Nice instructions, look pretty straightforward. And this is how they wrap the bumper. Very nice. We'll put some, I don't know if you can see in there, put some rubber caps on the end to help protect it from shipping on the underbody tangs as well. Overall, pretty impressed so far. There's a couple of welds that look a little iffy, but you know, it is what it is. So protectors on the D-ring mounts, stud, rubber bump stop. Overall, pretty impressed so far with the packaging. So there we go, everything unboxed, pulled out of the packaging. Now we'll just have to test the fit. Okay, so it looks like previous owner might have had another bumper on this thing, or just somebody along the line did and then just put a receiver hitch on it. So getting it ready to be mounted up looks like it's pretty straightforward. There's 4 bolts on each side here, and then there's one underneath. The one underneath is right there. That one snapped off on the driver's side, so I'm gonna have to do some drilling and fun with that. And then the other side looked like it was pretty clean, probably just need to chase the threads out. So, but we'll see how it goes. That wasn't too bad. 14mm bolts and nuts on both sides. Looks like they were grade 5, so not horrible. At least the guy that put it on somewhat knew what they were doing. Be a little bit easier if you had extra hands, but not too bad. Got them done. A couple of the nuts got lost inside the cross member, but we'll find them later. And need to clean up this side, underside, the nut in the frame. And then I'm gonna have to have some fun drilling out this side. When I got it, the ones underneath weren't even in there, so whoever did install took a little bit of shortcuts, but we're gonna make sure to do it right. If you're gonna do it, it's worth doing right. So, all right, so I hit the rear bumper in some spots with some rust preventive paint. There were a couple spots that were just showing a little scuffed paint. I showed my license plate. Now, instructions. Everybody loves instructions. They're actually pretty nice. They list out the tools. T35 Torx bit, 18mm socket, 10mm socket, and a ratchet. So that's everything right there. The only, surprisingly, with all the mechanic tools I have, this is the only T35 that I had. It's a security Torx, not an actual Torx. So they'll break off a little bit easier because they're hollow inside. So you just want to make sure you're careful with that. I just put it in this long-handled 1/4-inch drive ratchet just so I don't lose the bit, and we'll see what happens when we get there. But since I have all these extra tools in my toolbox, I figured it's always better to have more than what you need. So I brought out these extra babies. Hopefully we'll get that done a little bit quicker. Okay, so I read through all the instructions. Apparently the T35 is only if you have a TJ and you're trying to remove the factory bumper end caps. So as long as you don't have that, since I got a YJ and didn't even have a bumper, I don't have to worry about that. So that's good to know. The instructions are pretty straightforward. You undo your old bumper, bolt the new one on, bolt the tire carrier on, and then put the arm on the bumper. So I'm gonna have to do some other stuff too, because I have to relocate my license plate, and I gotta drill out some holes. So we're gonna start out with some drilling and tapping, which is always fun for everybody. All right, so drilling and tapping, it's always a fun proposition because you never know how badly the bolt's going to be stuck in there. If it was a grade 8, it's going to be really hard to drill out, sometimes almost impossible. A lot of times you have to use some heat, which is going to be interesting if I got to go that route because I'm going to be right next to the gas tank. But I always like, when it comes to drilling, you always want to pre-punch where you're going to start drilling, so you're right in the center of the bolt. I like these automatic punches. I know some people don't, but it helps, especially I don't know, I've just never had good luck with a regular hammer and a normal punch to start a pilot hole. It always moves or isn't where I want it to be. So with these, you can get it, you can put it right where you want it, and then press up until the needle compresses. You'll hear a loud click and feel it, and it'll actually put an indent. And even in some of the harder density metals, it does pretty well, and you can do it multiple times in a row really quickly without having to worry about resetting your punch or hitting it wrong and all that. Also, what helps out is having these extractor sets. Let's see here. Like I said, with my mechanic background, I've got some truck tools in my toolbox still, but the extractor bits are pretty nice. Let's see if we can get them open. Comes with a predetermined size drill bit as well as the extractor. The extractor here is you actually run in reverse, and as you run in reverse, it pulls it in and is supposed to help bite into the bolt and actually help remove it out. One thing I found working in the auto industry that helps a lot is that they have these left-handed drills. See if you can see that. Actually states that it's left-handed drills bits, which help even more because as you're drilling into it, it heats it up. And a lot of times I don't even have to go to the extractors. The heat between me either heating up the bolt to begin with or just drilling into it will actually heat it up enough. It'll break that bond of the rust and actually pull it out for me. So they are a little expensive. I know, like I said before, I want to try and keep this channel to where it's basic hand tools that any Joe can go get from Ace Hardware, Harbor Freight, anything like that. But because of my background, I do have some nicer tool sets, but I mean, all my wrenches are Craftsman. So all my box wrenches are Craftsman. All my sockets are Craftsman. It's only like the ratchets and the power drills and all that kind of stuff I spent the money, and some of the bit sets and stuff like that. So anyways, I also have a thread chaser set, which is nice because it's similar to a tap, but it's not as deep in the biting threads. So if you're trying to re-thread something that might just have a burr in it or just needs to be cleaned up from rust, it helps a lot because you don't run the risk as easily of cross-threading your good threads. So I have that kit. I also got a tap and die kit, so hopefully we won't have to do too much of that, and hopefully I'll be able to drill this bolt out and it'll work pretty well. So as you can tell, I'm inside my garage right now, and we'll do I've got a video for that with a tour showing all the vehicles I have and kind of my setup in here. It's not the greatest. It's really messy, as you can tell, pretty much everything everywhere. And but anyways, back to bolting or drilling bolts. Hopefully we'll get this done here soon and be able to move on with the project and get this done today. Alright, so since I'm going to be so close to the gas tank, I'm afraid I might have to use some heat. I haven't even started yet, but it's always good to do safety. Safety. Just have this handy, so if I need to, I can hopefully divert any catastrophes. Okay guys, so here's the difference between the regular threaded tap and the thread chaser cleaner. You can kind of see the threads just aren't quite the same depth. It'll help a little bit with not causing too much issues with this guy if you gotta just clean them, where if you're cutting new, you want to use this guy. So what this is here is a specialty tap socket set. See the back end of the tap is a squarish shape. So what it does, it'll actually just gotta find the right one and it'll lock itself down in there. So then you can use a ratchet to try and turn it instead of a T-handle in a tight space like this. One word of advice: be very careful not to break these off, because these are harder than the bolts and your drill bits, and you'll never get one of these drilled out. So hopefully I won't break one off. Okay guys, so the bolt on the driver's side definitely did not come out. Ended up having to drill it all the way out. There was no threads left in there. There's actually still little shards of metal of the old bolt. So what I'm going to do is I wanted to just drill it out to the next size up, and as far as bolts that I have on hand readily available, I have this factory front bumper bolt that is a 1/2 inch by 13, and I'm going to try and tap it out. Now the tap actually says on the side of it to use a 27/64 drill bit. And I looked it up. because I'm not good at fractions. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not. It's halfway kind of between, well, it's just under 7/16 and above 3/8, but below 1/2 inch. So I look at a 1/2 inch bit, and I think if I drill that out with this, I'm going to not have enough metal left over to create good threads. And I don't have a 7/16, so what I'm going to do is use a 3/8 and kind of wallow it out a little bit, and hopefully this will work. I've done this once before and it worked pretty good, and since those bolts down the bottom are not going to be holding all the stress, they're just kind of keeping the bumper from torquing outwards from the bottom if you're kind of doing an upward pull, or just keeping it from flexing on a pull. So hopefully I can get this to work, and we'll get this threaded out and keep moving on. Hopefully you guys can see that. That's the little bits of the thread there. And finally came out after drilling it. So now I'm going to just re-tap the other side like I did the passenger side, and we'll get this going. So this thing is not center balanced off of the hitch because of the pin, the pivot pin and stop on the passenger side. The balance is, it's heavier on that side. So I'm gonna try and use a jack, see if I can get this balanced right, get it up there, put it in place, see how it fits. Otherwise I will have to grab my wife and have her come out and help. And we'll just go from there and see how it goes. So I've heard in some of the reviews, or read in some of the reviews, that these things had a little bit of alignment issue with some of the drilling for the holes. I'm not going to say that's the issue yet, especially since it's just me up here doing this, but I pulled out a couple of, some people call them crow's foot, I call them alignment pry bars. They got a pointed taper end on one side, kind of a crow's foot on the other. They come in different sizes. You can get these at Harbor Freight. I'm pretty sure I got mine at Harbor Freight because I knew I was going to beat the crap out of them, but it helps you get stuff into the hole this way, and then you can pry on it to kind of get stuff aligned if you just need to pull it one way or the other, especially when stuff's under pressure like this, because the jack's pushing up on it. It's kind of bottoming out on the holes on the bottom. So we'll see if what we can get done here. So in case you guys are wondering, this is the type of vice grip that I'm using. It's pretty standard. I'm pretty sure you can find these pretty any hardware store. But it's a standard vice grip, but it's got this open jaw to it with the rounded feet, which is really nice because what I'm having to do is actually clamp the bumper to the cross member to get it in tight enough to be able to get the underbody bolt in. Come on, focus. Underneath on the bottom part right there, the one that I drilled out. So it helps a lot. All kinds of fun tools that you can use to help your job easier. Why the big hammer, you might ask? Well, all the holes, mounting holes, are ovalized, so you can adjust it side to side, get it centered on the vehicle. It's just a touch this way, but I think I'm up against a stop on the other side, on the passenger side. So I'm gonna give it a little love tap with this, see if I can get it to budge over a little bit, and then we'll start snugging some stuff down and get that last bolt in. Apparently I either forgot to hit record or my phone just decided to not record anything, so I don't know where we were at. I'll have to edit that and see where it was, but if you remember from the directions, the 10mm wrench, the cap for the pivot is held on by a grease zerk, and that is the only thing you need the 10mm for, is to put in that grease zerk. But otherwise, got the bumper on, drilled out the holes, tapped them, got all the bolts in. You just want to make sure that you get all of them in before you start tightening them down. Just get them in there hand tight, and then just get it centered and tighten it down. But as of right now, I've got the bumper on, tightened down, the swing arm on, and I just got to put in the grease zerk and the cap, this guy here, and then adjust the latch, mount the tire mount, and put the tire on. I took a measurement before I put the bumper on, just kind of interested on how much sag I was going to get from all this extra weight. So I got about 26 inches, just a little bit over, because on the driver's side it was right at 26. The passenger side was a little bit taller, but I think it's because I have an asphalt driveway and it is not flat. So just say 26 plus a little, and we'll go from there. But it seems to, visually it doesn't look to have sagged yet, but we will find out once I get the tire on. I'll take another measurement and we'll see where it goes. Alright, so I just did 2 bolts for now, just because I want to kind of get an idea of where the tire is going to sit, because I want it to sit as low as possible for visibility and safety. And also I'm planning on trying to, since it's all steel, probably build out off of this to hold other accessories, like I'm debating on putting a high lift jack on the rear. It's mounted on the hood right now, not sure if I like that. Gas cans, other stuff like that. So we're gonna try and get it as low as possible to hopefully be able to build out over the top of it. I was able to get it a little bit lower. They're only 33-inch tires, so that'll give me lots of room to move. Apparently they can hold up to a 37 pretty easily. I don't know if I'm ever going to go that big, but we'll see. So those studs on the back there, they're just bolts welded into the plate on the back side, so you don't want to go crazy with them. Otherwise it'd be kind of a little difficult to get them out. So now I just got to adjust the latch, do a couple other things, and we'll be done for the night, and then relocate the plate. Just trying to figure out what this 10mm wrench was for. Listed in the tools, found it. It's for this guy. Tighten down the nut on the back side. I put a fender washer back here, kind of space out that bump a little bit. I wanted to, I saw another review where somebody did that to tighten it up a little bit. It's a little jiggly still once I got this pin set, but I just wanted to give it a shot and see how it went. And I just need to get the right Allen head to tighten it up, and we'll be good to go. Okay, YouTube, it's the next morning. Kind of ran out of some daylight, had to get the washer and dryer hooked up inside the house. So, everything seems to be sitting pretty well. I took a measurement, like I said, that I only lost about a ½ inch of ride height. I was measuring from the bottom of the body right there down to the floor. And I only lost about a ½ inch on both sides. So not bad for how heavy it is, especially with the full-size spare back there. I'm looking to possibly do some boomerang shackles in the future, so that will gain that ½ inch back. But it doesn't look too bad as far as the sag and everything else. Doesn't look too squatty in the back. Looks pretty good. So the only issue I have so far is, which I read about this online, was the folks with YJs, is the filler, the gas tank filler right here. So I was playing around with some ideas. I thought about just mounting it over here, just screwing into the swing arm, having the plate sit vertical. As far as I know, my state's not super strict about it, as long as they can read it and see it. But I tried to figure out something else just because I didn't like the idea of drilling into that thing quite yet. But so what I did was I actually took the bracket off, and it normally screws in down here on both sides, and I just flipped it over. Now I thought I had it screwed in right, or marked right, to where it was going to clear this. Plus I put it at a little bit of an angle to try and swing it around there, but as you can see, it still hits. So what I did is I took a Sharpie, made a little mark, and then I'm going to cut the bracket off all the way across there, and then trim the plate to fit. So we'll see how it goes. All right, guys, looks like everything is trimmed up and good to go. I just took a little bit off the bottom here on the plate, just used some hand tin snips that I had in my toolbox, and used a Harbor Freight cutoff wheel, trim the bracket. You can kind of see it there. Now the plate swings free of the bump stop. I'll still should be able to fill it. We'll see. I might have to make some more modifications. I'm also planning on going to flat LEDs, so that might expedite that project if I can't get a fuel filler in there. But everything looks pretty good, and the bumper's on and everything works. Really no complaints. It latches well, looks good. Like I said, the powder coat isn't the thickest I've ever seen. I've seen some other ones where it's a lot thicker, but it's going to probably be scraped up and banged against the rocks anyways. The latch mechanism is actually pretty impressive. I did end up spacing out the rubber stopper there. You can see the flat washer back behind there. Just to make it a little bit tighter. But otherwise, pretty impressed for the money, for what you get. More to come with a road test here, but we'll see how it goes. All right, review time. I've driven probably about 100 or so miles with this new EAG EZ-Grip bumper. So far I love it. It's been really good. It doesn't rattle. The rear tire is adjustable height, so it's great because I can look out my mirror and not even see the tire barely, and I can see over it. It's got plenty of adjustment. It's been solid so far. Haven't had any problems with it whatsoever. So far a good thumbs up. The only issue I've had has been with this guy, the license plate cover and filling the gas. If you remember earlier, I showed you that I flipped it, the bracket. Definitely doesn't work. So I've got a bracket from Amazon that moves it to the center of the tire, spare tire. Got some wiring to do for it as well, so I'll make a video on that. But otherwise, review of this bumper and tire carrier so far, it's been on for about a month, is awesome. So we'll keep an update going on it and see how it holds up over time.